Good morning to all of our distinguished guests and participants. Welcome to Socialism 2023's youth panel titled The Lost Generation of the 21st Century. My name is Arani. I'll be moderating this session. Before we begin, I'd like to state the House rules. We would like to ask that all participants engage in good faith discussion and maintain respect for each other. This is a safe space. We ask that there are no derogatory remarks made, no discriminatory language or vulgar behavior, and all differences in opinion are respected. Today's panel is on youth activism, an always relevant topic. In recent years, we've seen activists such as Malala Yousafzai, Greta Thunberg leading movements for change with education and environmental issues, respectively. Many of PSM's own Central Committee members began their involvement in activism and politics in their student days. In Malaysia, we recently passed legislation to allow individuals aged between 18 and 21 to vote. Youth are seen as a force for change. Yet, the recent data has seen many young people moving towards conservatism. The pandemic and financial crises have left young people lost, scared, and confused. In our social media age and attention economy, young people are constantly fed information that overwhelms and desensitizes them. After being raised in a neoliberal world that promises a meritocracy, to be met with such uncertainty at the failure of capitalism has left many feeling disillusioned and hopeless. Yet we still have people fighting for change, like our panelists today. Still, we have young socialists trying to make the world a little better. So I'm joined today by two very, very wonderful youth activists, Gandipan and Doni Moidadi. Gandipan is the coordinator of Parti Socialist Malaysia, PJ. And he served as the secretary of Pemuda Socialist for 4 years. He's a passionate and dedicated young leader committed to advocating for progressive values and bringing about meaningful change. Gandipan is driven by the vision of equality, solidarity, and collective well-being. So can we have a hand for him, please? And our second panelist is joining us via Zoom from Indonesia, Doni Moidadi. He is a member of the Working People's Party, Parti Rakyat Kerja Indonesia. He has led the Consortium for Agrarian Reform, and yeah, we're very excited to have him joining us. Big hand for him, please. I'd like to share a quote from Mao that I came across while researching for this topic. The world is yours as well as ours, but in the last analysis, it is yours. You young people full of vigor and vitality are in the bloom of life, like the sun at 8 or 9 in the morning. Our hope is placed on you. The world belongs to you. This was something that he said to Chinese students and trainees in Moscow in 1957. So I'd like to now pass the floor to our speakers. Doni, we'll start with you. You have 20 minutes to speak, and then we will open the floor to the Q&A. I will ring this bell when you have 5 minutes left. I don't know if you can hear that, but maybe the tech team can send in the chat when it's that time. Okay, yes, thank you. So yes, Doni, you may begin. Thank you. Hello, Doni.
Okay, hello.
Hi.
Hello. Can I start?
Yes, you can start. You have 20 minutes.
Okay.
And you'll get a 5-minute warning.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I'm so sorry I'm not joining to this conference because I have some problem to my passport. My name is Doni Moidadi. I am member of Working People Party in Indonesia. I'm sorry, can you hear my voice? Are good?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I have some point to my presentation because I have wrote some point to this conference. I wanted to show you my presentation. I hope this good. Sorry. Wait a minute.
Very good.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay. I wanted to show you thesis on my party because we have some critical theoretically about the left movement in Indonesia. not only Indonesia, because in Southeast Asia and globally. Oh, okay. Um, we have 3 points about this thesis. First of all, uh, lack of left alternatives to counter neoliberal ones, because we have the left has surrendered its theoretically independence and embrace the dominant version of human rights, uh, endorsed by the World Bank and World Economic Forum, which in practice views the working class are mere victims or beneficiaries, not as a power to contest the dominance of the bourgeois. Next one, lack of left alternative is the lack of theoretical independence leads to erosion of materialist and revolutionary analysis of situation, and thus the struggle for power has been removed from much of the theoretical analysis of the left in the first quarter of the 21st century. This lack of left alternative is exacerbated by the lack of theoretically update in regard to modern contemporary capitalism. In the past, progressive and revolutionary theories were produced by leaders who were neck deep in mass organization and political revolutionary struggle. In currently, leftist theoreticians are university professors who perch in the relative safety of the university.
Donnie, hi.
While in the other,
Could you, sorry to interrupt you. Could you put your presentation in presentation mode, maybe, so that you can present it?
sorry, can you repeat?
Could you full screen your presentation?
Oh, sorry, full
Make it
screen.
in,
I'm sorry.
yes. You can put it in slideshow mode.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Can you
you.
see that?
Yes, thank you.
Maybe I can repeat my thesis or next one.
You don't have to repeat. It's just for visual purposes.
Okay.
You're doing very well.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Uh, this lack of lab alternative is exacerbated by the lack of theoretical updates, in the regard modern contemporary capitalism. In the past, progressive and revolutionary theories were produced by leaders who were neck deep in mass organization and political revolutionary struggle. In currently, leftist theoreticians are university professors who perch in relative safety and of the universities. While on the other hand, the mass leaders are embroiled in day-to-day advocacy and left with virtually no time to hone their theoretical acumen. Maybe this gap between theory and practice of revolutionary struggle must be eradicated. This is the problem. And the second thesis is the left succumbs to the capitalist degeneration because the rise of the entertainment industry and the idealization of beauty are two of the most prominent signs of a world system in crisis. In the past, the Roman Empire underwent these processes, so did the European feudalism. Despite the claiming to be a historical movement, the left has failed to recognize this degeneration. Instead of galvanizing of counter-trend, the left succumbs to despair when the masses prefer to watch, TikTok instead of listening to revolutionary message. The next point is the left movement fails to recognize the social media despite its speed and reach. is just another medium of spreading information. It is just another from propaganda tools, it is not a be all and out tool for change. The left has a long established tradition that social movement is built by people, by the masses, not by opinion leaders or social media celebrity. Thus, or meanwhile, utilizing social media is important for spreading revolutionary message. Real, on the ground, organizing works are still the most important task for the left. And the next one, this is the last, the contemporary task of the left is the left must build a reservoir of cadres or the member of the party who are the theoretically proficient and organizationally capable. These cadres must be trained in revolutionary practice, organizing on the ground, and the theoretical debate both among the leftist current and against other tendencies such as the liberal human rights activism. These cadres must be active in any and all arena struggle for power, be in the general election, as the national level, election for the village chiefs, or the election for union leadership. This practice should hone the political acumen and ability to lead the masses when the critical moment of the revolutionary come about. The next one, the left must be passionately explain to the masses about the generation that they have been trapped in. And the left must possess acute understanding of how the modern capitalism created the world system of appropriation or exploitation labor, how the system worked to cheapen the labor of the masses to the fat bank account of the capitalists. The masses might not hear us at the moment, but at least we will show the seed and understanding that will bloom in the time of crisis. This is the Working People Party thesis. In this conference, maybe we have discussion about this thesis. You can debate or criticize this thesis because this is my opposition. Maybe I have some point about this uh, title of conference because Lost Generation Indonesia, not only in Indonesia, but maybe in other countries in Southeast Asia. Lost generation is a losing opportunity to access good education. But in Indonesia, we have a education legal entity law or Undang-Undang Badan Hukum Pendidikan, and the implication this of we have a single tuition fee or the state not have a compensation about the student because it's a liberal uh, education, we don't have a jaring pengaman sosial or social barrier in education because we have to pay maybe 2 or 3 million rupiahs to uh, tuition fee per semester. Lost generation Indonesia is the young people in Indonesia is a sandwich generation because who have uh, handle not only uh, the family, but is a young people have uh, barrier in in the family. Lost generation is a losing political access because Indonesia is a political years. We have election in next years in 2024. 2024. Uh, Last 2 months, the Supreme Court decision number 2019. We have decision to the decision not only 14 years uh, to president or vice president. Uh, to this decision, the chairman of the Constitutional Court was dismissed by honorary court because the ethical violation. Because the principle of Supreme Court decision, uh, the Supreme of Court decision Gibran Rakabuming Raka from to access the vice president in political election. Maybe this is the impact of climate change in younger generation because youth peasant impact is decreased crop yields due to unpredictable weather because the climate change is not only the carbonate issue, but this is the decreased crop yields because they youth peasant vulnerable uh, in many village in Indonesia. Okay, this is maybe uh, my thesis on this conference. Maybe we can discuss about this. And thank you very much for the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tommy. So now we'll move on to our next speaker, Kandikan. He also has the presentation prepared.
Hello, good morning. Wow, langsung tak ada semangat. Baru bangun. Okay, good morning. Okay, so today I'll be talking about the lost generation of the 21st century. I'm going to share some stressful data with colorful slides today. And my presentation today is merely from my observation and my experience. It's not just based on books or data. So it's not working. Okay. All right. So Arani has shared this quote. Yeah, I shared the same quote. It's Mao's hope to the young people. So he placed hope on us. The world belongs to us. But so much hope on the youth. But how are the youths in this country feel? Okay. Okay, so the country makes the youth feel anxious. We are feeling uncertain about what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Are we going to have the job? Is our job going to be the same? We also have the climate change. We are also tired. Why we are feeling tired? We will look at the data later. on the underemployment and gig economy. And we have a lot of distractions. We have issues with accessibility in education, healthcare, mental health, and we also feeling job insecurity. And we are also have low wage issue, and most importantly, the young people in this country are in debt. Okay, the problem for the young people actually starts from the access to the public education in this country. Every year, we have this argument entering into the public education. Do we still need to maintain the ethnic-based quota system, or do we want to change it to the meritocracy? One group is fighting for the meritocracy. Another group is saying that we need the ethnic-based quota system in this country to enter the IPT, right? But the important thing that we need to remember is the last public university in this country was built in 2006. 17 years, we do not have any new public universities in this country. The last public university was built in Kelantan, I think, UMK. So that was the last public university that was built. So here I'm going to share some data on the access to education. So this is the data from 2007 from Ministry of Higher Education. So this is the number of the degree students that entered in USM, UKM, UPM, and UTM. These are like can be considered as 5 top universities in this country. The entry is like we can compare with the 2022 data. So in 2007, we have 4,900 plus entries in UM. But in 2022, we have 4,756. It's actually decreased. For 17 years, the UM didn't improve the access, didn't expand. It actually like decreased the access of people who wants to continue their higher education. We can also compare with the USM. We had 6,194 degree entries, but in 2022, it's still somewhere the same. But if you look at the overall data, yes, the data has increased due to the UITM's presence in this country. But overall, other universities, public universities, didn't really increase their intake. It's just still the same. So where are the other school students 18 years old are going? Because of the lack of access to the public education, they're going to the private. Okay. So this is an important thing that we need to talk about the public education, meritocracy, or ethnic-based education, right? So the left must take a position of inclusive education. We need to make the access open for everyone who wants to study. But there is an issue with the um, meritocracy that we can see later. So due to the lack of interest of the government to build more public universities, so they opened a PTPTN education fund in 1997 so that 18 years old and 19 years old who wish to continue their studies, they can take loans from the government. So from 1997, we have until 2021, we had 3.62 million applications to get the loan, and the government has sanctioned 65.51 billion ringgit. Yeah. When PDPTN was formed in 1997, our education minister was Najib, our finance minister was Arfan, and our prime minister was Mahathir. They were all still alive and still influencing our politics today. Yeah. Very stressful. Okay. Okay, so in 2021 statistics, we can see that total of 55.39% of applicants are actually from public universities. And Swasta, I mean the private, is 44.61%. But the loan amount is like 2 billion in private, so 1.5 billion from IPT. So this can actually be solved like by channeling 1.5 billion from government in order to save this 1.5 billion from the pocket of the working people. But the government didn't do it. And the 2 billion is directly from the government pocket to the private hands. This is a crime. And let's look at the repayment. So for education loan, almost 50% are not able to pay consistently, or they are not paying the loan. This is the stat. Yeah. And the amount yang patut bayar, the amount that the student should have paid by now is 25.51 billion. So that is a deficit even in PDPD, and they are struggling to run their own organization in this country. So this repayment, lack of repayment, and why are they struggling to repay, is closely related to the average salary that youth has in this country. So the average salary in 2022 for the youth was still lower than 2019. For the year, for those who are like 15 years old to 24 years old, the median wage is 1,527. And for those between 25 to 34 years old, 22,310. So 50% of our population are still earning 2,310 and below for those between 25 and 34 years old. But our politicians are putting blaming on us, right? Anwar also recently said it is important to tie the payment, make the mandatory cut from our salary. They are considering from free education fighter in 2008. Now they have already got spin. So the latest data for the formal workers, March 2023, they said less than 20 years old, they are only earning like 1,500. 20 to 24, this is more like more detail. 20 to 24 is only like earning 1,682. These are like median wage. And 25 to 29 only earning 2,327 million. These are like 50% of the population and below are earning in this country. Okay. So this is closely related to the underemployment issue. So our politicians always talk about unemployment. We don't have the job. But there is also a very serious issue of underemployment. So I'm going to share the data. This is the data from DOSM. So time-related underemployment is when one is supposed to work for 8 hours, but I only have like work for 3 hours. I don't have work for 5 hours. So that is considered as time-related underemployment. Skill-related underemployment is where I have a degree, but I'm not doing the work of something related to field or something related to studies. So we can see that the time-related underemployment is actually reducing, but we have like 37.4% of people are not working according to what they have studied or related to their skill. So in order to understand the job creations in this country, we need to understand the classification that exists within the government classification that they give for the labor. The skilled is considered managers, professionals, technicians, associate professionals. Semi-skilled, clerical support, sales, machine operator, skilled laborers in agriculture. Low-skilled, cleaners, helpers, laborers. Left do not have to agree with this, but this is the classification that the government gives. This is important. Why am I sharing this today? This is because to understand the next graph. So we have a serious mismatch of the job creations in this country. 62.5% of the jobs created in this country are actually semi-skilled category. But we have 290,000 new graduates were recorded in the year 2022. But we only have like 25% of the job which is considered skilled. So where the other graduates are good. Okay, so there is no much job being created also by the government because our economy is very FDI dependent economy. The government is not doing enough to create a job. when they have the resources. Why? We so FDI dependent because our government, of course, they subscribe to the neoliberalism ideology. They don't want to intervene in the economy. The second is deficit spending. They don't want to spend more. They want to show that they are handling their accounts well. So when they save the money in the government, they think it's very good. But many economists are showing more the government spend, more the household has in their pockets, more the working class have in their pockets. But since our government is not spending enough, we don't have much job in this economy and lack of future planning. We have so much of talk. For example, we have so much of talk that we need to improve our public transportation. But do we know when is our next train is coming? No, no one knows, right? So, due to the lack of future planning, how do you want to build the industry in this country? What is our target in the next 5 years? How many houses that are we targeting to have the solar panels, for example? So, due to no target, no future planning, and also the lack of government intervention to create industries in this country, this is creating a very bad economical situation and condition for the young people. And due to the lack of jobs in this country, the young people are turning into the gig economy. So gig economy can also be considered as an underemployment because the workers who have degree but ended up doing a gig economy, Grab riders, food panda riders, the youths are choosing the gig economy due to the flexibility. They feel like they can start work anytime, they can finish work anytime, and they can work longer hours as well. And gig economy promising higher economy, but whether it translates into the bank account is another question. And they also have no confidence with the job market. This is why a lot of 18 years old are not continuing their higher studies, but they are entering the job market using the gig economy. But the reality of gig economy, this is like posted in the Straits Times this year. Good times are over for gig economy, drivers and riders in post-pandemic Malaysia. So the drivers and riders this year are working longer hours, 12 hours, 13 hours, but still earning lesser than what they used to earn post-pandemic, pre-pandemic, like 2018, 2019. Stressful data, yeah? Hang on, please. Okay. So the reality of gig economy is inconsistent. The riders and the drivers, they're not sure how much will they get today, tomorrow, and next week. Yeah, and they also lack of safety net. They don't have the paid holiday that the formal workers enjoy. They don't have EPF. They don't have so. But I think the reason government they wanted to introduce some fund, but that is more on to reskill the gig economy worker. But they also said that they wanted to come up with a commission to think about this and come up with the policies. But yeah, our government is very good in releasing statements. So, and the third is they are insecure about the future. So when you take a Grab or any other services, you can when you try to talk to them, you can say that from my experience, I learned that it's either the drivers are the part-time drivers or I may need for longer time. Or they don't see that they are going to do this for the next 2-3 years. If they are either in the midst of finding another job or they are doing this for the part-time. And of course the exploitation, right? We all know that they are expecting more profit, more money from us, but they're not giving us back from the gig economy and the corporates. So there also a concern of AI, whether AI is a friend or foe. But I think AI will also take over some jobs and also create new jobs, right? And for example, we can see in McD's, we have like self-serve kiosk, right? But at the same time, AI maintenance, repairing, creating will also need some new jobs as well. So just for the perspective. So this is just my, we are not sure how it will turn out if AI influences our job much, but I can foresee like two different situations, AI and the capitalism and socialism. AI and the capitalism can be like profit-driven automation. The capitalists will only like automate when they can see some profit there. And the workers need to keep up with the technology. We can see in the Amazon in US where the workers have to adjust their working style in order to keep up with the speed of the machines. Yeah. So it's like creating some health implications as well. And the workers easily can be replaced. So since the AI is replacing the workers and we have like huge reserve of unemployment labor that we have, so the workers can be easily replaced. They cannot like voice their concern in the company. The capitalists will easily say, okay, you can leave and they can hire another worker tomorrow. And the technology will be in the hands of you. This is very dangerous because tomorrow the invention or the vaccines or any emergency situation, we won't have access to those technology to solve our issues. Yeah, and the rich getting more powerful and they will undermine the democracy, and it will also accelerate contradictions of the capitalism where the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer, and the rich do not have the working people to buy their product and services. So that is the AI that I foresee under capitalism. But under socialism, I feel like the AI will be purpose driven automation and it can reduce the working hours for workers, so the workers can have more time for their passion and hobbies, and the technology in the hands of commons. And during the crisis time, we can come up with the technology that can help us and the humanity. And it can also reduce the alienation with the work. Workers will be happy and they can connect well with their work, and the quality of life increases. But with the condition, if you want all this to happen, the workers need to take over the means of production. There is no other way. So together with all this stressful data, we also have bad transportation, back to stressful data. We also have bad transportation in this country. So this is the data coming from KWSP, Belanjawanku, and they say that the public transportation users are spending an average of 140 ringgit. The own transportation is 760 ringgit. Maybe I think the 140 ringgit also including the traveling to the stations also. So together with the low wages, you also have to spend all this just to commute. And together with uh, longer hours spent to commute also, because the recent data say in Klang Valley, people spend almost like an hour and above on the road, and public transportation can take longer as well. So these are causing a lot of stress and impacting our mental health. But how about our mental health services in our country? Yeah, it's expensive and urban based. Data shows we need to have one psychiatrist or psychologist per 10,000 people, equating to 3,000 mental health practitioners. But as of February 2022, there are only 479 registered psychiatrists. Yeah. All right. Okay. So what kind of youths that the system is producing? Low social participation. The youth doesn't want to come out in the weekend. They just want to rest. They don't want to spend in the local economy. Low political participation. They have no time for protest. They don't have time to politically engage or organize themselves. They are overworked. They are working longer hours, or they are influenced by the hustle mentality because they need money, right? So, and they have this anger towards the system. But in this country, who did the youth vote for? Perikatan, Barisan, Harapan. So often our political analyst says greenwashing, right? But actually, greenwashing a bit exaggerated because the youth in this country is like equally between Perikatan and Harapan. 37% voted for PN, 35% voted for Harapan, and BN 23%. Yeah, but it's a bit impressive. This is the data from UDI 18, yeah. It's a bit impressive for the Perikatan Nasional, despite being a new coalition, they can gather 37% of the vote. But how did they do that? They use race and religion rhetorics a lot. Yeah, and they channel the anger towards race, TAP, Communist China. That is their narrative. Yeah, and they are consistent not in doing work, but consistent in lying, consistent in fabricating lies, consistent in spreading the message. This is something that we need to learn. Not to lie, but being consistent in our work. Yeah. And effective messaging. Their messages are very effective. They come up with quick. They come up with a TikTok. They come up with their NGOs, with their networks, to come up with explanation. They make sure the explanation reach to the grassroots. So that's how effective they are with their messaging. And they are of course backed by capital. In order to do all this, to consistently lie, to consistently fabricate, to use the media to do effective messaging, you need to have big capitals, right? Yeah. So what can the left propose for the youth? Here we can start being a bit hopeful. Okay. So I think job guarantee scheme is a very important policy that we can propose. Job guarantee scheme is like pushing our policy towards 100% employment, and also we need to make sure we need creating quality, well-paid, and fulfilling jobs. Yeah. So this is done by the government themselves. I think 2 years back we have created one paper where we have stated we need to expand our care economy, green jobs, reindustrialization, 24 hours economy. In the paper is available in Party Socialist and socialist.net. And we need to do free education and expansion of public education institutions. I think I don't need to explain much in this. And abolish PTPTN. This is something very important. This is going to be hard because the PTPTN debts to the external market today is 40 billion ringgit Malaysia to the bonds. How are we going to remove and settle this debt? So the debt must think of a way and must come up with a new paper on how do we want to propose this abolish PTPTN, because this cannot go on. We cannot keep putting the youth in this country for more debt. Yeah. And also more investments in youth-centered infrastructures. Last slide. Okay, so what can the left do for ourselves? Consistency is key. And we also need to provide progressive narrative on race and religion. We cannot like stand out of this, in my opinion. Yeah, we need to provide progressive narrative, not only in an article, not only in a book, but we also need to involve every time they come up with this bullshit in this media, we need to counter their narrative. Yeah. And also we need to spend more for effective messaging. We need to strengthen the ideology. At the same time, we also need to localize the ideology. Yes, overconsumption is an issue. For example, yeah, overconsumption is an issue. But do we want to tell the youth who are already earning very less that the overconsumption is an issue? Or spend less, or don't use this much, or so we need to localize the ideology. We need to talk the issues that the concerns more on the youth, and we need to be active on current issues. Socialism with practical considerations, and we have been consistent, but we also need to expose capitalism every time we come up with our ideas. So that's all from me. Thank you. I'm sorry for all the time.
Hey, thank you to both of our speakers for the very, very informative presentation. Now we will open to the floor for the Q&A. So, okay, I think we'll do this 3 at a time. So, okay, a lot of hands on up after I said that. Okay, okay. We'll go to you first at the back, and then you in the purple, and then we'll do this. So when you ask your question, please say who you are. Please try and keep it short, and please be respectful. Thank you.
Thank you to both the speakers. That they were really amazing presentations. So my name is Angela Carr. I'm from Socialist Alliance in Australia. It's really interesting. There's a lot of common themes for Australian youth from what I'm hearing. In Australia, our university system's completely privatised. So, I mean, that is certainly not a way that you want to go here because it's created a really huge divide for young people in our country, teamed with the cost of living crisis. And certainly the gig economy, underemployment and unemployment are really big issues for our young people as well. I guess I've actually got heaps of questions, so I'll try not to ask them all. But I wondered about the social media aspect because we've recently had some new young people come into our branch that have been heavily in a social media bubble, in a socialist sphere for a long time. And I'm just wondering, because there are a lot of young people out there that have read a lot of theory, how do we actually move them from, theory in the social media world to real life activism on the ground? The next thing I wanted to ask was, given the cost of living crisis and the hardship for young people, I'm sort of wondering what campaigns that people in your countries are campaigning on, young people. And given the climate crisis, where does that sit? Because we know the devastating impacts are hitting the global south really hard. So yeah, just those two questions, please.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Aldi from Socialist Union, Indonesia. It was interesting presentation by Doni, but I want to say that the real task of the youth left movement in Indonesia is about our history, because the history of 65, the genocide 65, is really important for us. There is 3 million people who killed by the government and military, and the rest of them who survive doesn't want to talk about politics because they afraid. And it happened 32 years. It's been a long time. It's a really long time. And then after the Reformasi in 1998, a lot of the youth who want to talk about politics, of course, human rights issue. And I think this is a good thing because that's like a bridges that we can talk more about politics and the consequences about the genocide, because the genocide is also the human right abuse. So start from 2019, there is a lot of concern of the youth. There is a lot of conversation and discussion about human rights. So the real task for the left organization in Indonesia is expose that kind of history, the history of 65. And after the 98, we have the really important task to build the real organization. So we ask them, the youth, to join the organization, no matter what kind of the current of ideological, because we are not we haven't done the democratic revolution in Indonesia. There is a problem about about the democratic revolution in Indonesia. So that's all my opinion about this the task for the youth left in Indonesia. Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Just now there was a mention about like how our government doesn't really like to too close to the camera. Our government doesn't really usually intervene in like economic crisis and stuff. But during the pandemic, the government did step in for the moratorium, and I think that's why we avoided a housing crisis, right? My question is like relating to this. Um, is it actually a good idea for us to actually encourage for it to crash? Because wouldn't that allow chances for a revolution? Like should we? My point is, should we speed up the late stage capitalism basically instead of trying to stop it? Yeah.
Alright, hello everyone. My name is Wei and I'm a member of PSM. Citing the Bank Negara Malaysia report in 2022, the title Are Workers Fairly Compensated Within Malaysia? They give a report which states, among many other things, that for every RM 1000 for every USD 1000 produced by a worker in Malaysia, they are compensated with USD 310 compared to other benchmark countries like the US, Singapore, Canada, which are paying them roughly 500 something USD for every USD output of 1000. So this has led to a disparity where, okay, a lot of Malaysians say, oh, the workers are producing. Continue. Okay, so a lot of people have said that the workers are not producing enough, that they're not working enough.
Right.
Yeah, also apparently I need to scroll this mic for not working hard enough. So a lot of people are blaming not just the youngsters, but even the workers, the farmers for not working hard enough. So my question would be, is there actually somewhere for the government in Malaysia to look at these companies, especially the multinational companies, and say, well, you're hiring a lot of people, pay them more, or hire less people, but pay them more. Bottom line, pay them more, because the more you pay people, the more they have extra money to spend for their needs. Spending for their needs and take care of their family, which is quite necessary for you to stay and survival. Unless you want everyone to start taking loans from the government and only the government does it. Thank you.
From JP Singapore. So actually, my question was that in conversation yesterday with a friend, I was discussing how there was a brief survey actually in Singapore that showed that for youth that showed that for youth who were above 25, they actually or rather below 25, they held more conservative values than those that were above 25, which I think would be quite contradictory to what we believe that younger people who are all more liberal and leftists stuff. And I think a lot of us do feel like increasingly the effectiveness of the educational propaganda for conservative values is becoming more and it's becoming more effective now, right? And I was wondering if you guys have a similar struggle that you experience in your country, and if there are ways in which they start to counter this. Hi everyone, my name is Elijah Tsiri. I use they them pronouns. I'm from Singapore. So I'm currently a youth organizer in Singapore as well. I'm part of this group called NTU Financial Aid Friends, helping like to campaign for education accessibility in Singapore Public University as well. And yeah, I think like in our campaigning also like one of our goals is also to eventually go into conversations about electoral reform, but we find it very difficult to I guess politicize youth in Singapore because a lot of the state narrative like very much depoliticizes people. And I understand that in Malaysia the voting age has recently gone down to 18, and I'm wondering what are some of the like campaigns or actions that have been done, whether on or off campus, to mobilize youth surrounding this issue. And another question I have also is, I think that a lot of young people across the world have been very agitated and mobilized around the Palestinian cause, and I'm wondering whether you see if there's a potential for a international like youth or like international sort of like solidarity or like an international youth movement that can emerge out of the atrocities that are happening in Gaza and West Bank. Yeah, thank you.
I did one. Oh, I have these both like this. Oh, this is so cool. Hi guys, what's up? And it's real. Okay, I got a question. This is regarding influence and rhetorics. I can see that the young, especially especially Gen Zs, who to my surprise, In Malaysia, they are more aligned with the right-wing rhetoric, especially being anything, hustle culture, being a racist, and snacking on poor people or those who earn less, worshipping rich people like Azri Walter, if you know him, and so on and so forth. This is very right-wing rhetoric. Is it because, well, the thing is, the root cause could come from anything, but is it because, like, the right-wing guys, like, why is it at the top of my mind is Azri Walter? If you don't know him, you guys don't need to search him. It's just basically Malaysian entertainment. Yeah, he's a bald head and everything. Okay, so like, my question is that, is it that young people in Malaysia love this kind of rhetoric more, or is it that we lack of left influences? Or is it that our left influences exist? Probably they are popular, 100,000 followers, but it's just that Azri Wolpe is just much stronger with his push-ups and and everything else, yeah. So yeah, that's my question. Influences, yeah.
Is that all that we have? Oh, sorry. Yes, yes, you, please.
Thank you. Talk from Socialism Thailand. I agree with that. Is that Marxism, classical Marxism theory are outdated, right? They fail to capture the problem in contemporary capitalism, like TikTok or gig economy. Because now we talk about AI or gig economy. Yeah, thank you.
I think we can.
This will be the last.
Yeah, hi, Kumar from Singapore. Workers make possible focus on workers' rights. So my question is, I think we heard a lot about how there are a lot of problems, right, with the younger generation and very focused on the sort of deficits. And it's a very big picture in terms of they're surprisingly conservative and so on. But I want to maybe ask both the Indonesian and Malaysian comrades, what sort of strengths do you see in the youth? In the sense that, I think Elijah has pointed out that there's been internationally a lot of outrage about the atrocities in Palestine. And I think another thing I would like to put, at least in Singapore, and I think we've seen this in the West a lot, and I don't know whether it's the case in Malaysia and Indonesia, but Gen Z job interviews are very different from sort of interviews with other generations, and they have, for some reason, they all have higher standards for jobs. And do you see that in Malaysia and Indonesia, and do you see that as an opportunity for organizing? And yeah, if you can just speak to your organizing experiences, that would be great.
Okay, we'll now close the poll. Okay. We're running out of time, guys. We need them to actually answer the questions. So.
Hi, my name is Philip Wong. I'm a little bit too old to be you. But I think we need to ask some really tough questions. So focusing first on education, I think there's a serious oversupply of graduates, and I don't mean no disrespect to the graduates. I think you guys and girls have worked really hard. You deserve your degrees, but the problem is the dumbing down and oversupply, because now there's a lot of pressure on academics and universities to pass more and more students out, because they are paying their fees or they're being financed through the loan schemes to pay their fees. So there's a lot of pressure on academics to lower standards to pass them, because then the superior will tell them, hey, why are your failure rates so high? So there is pressure, and I'm not criticizing the youth, I'm criticizing the academics, and mostly in the private universities, and now that pressure is falling on the public universities. The result is oversupply. Oversupply, unemployment. That's the problem. Now coming back to, so these are some questions I'm asking, and the other question is on specifically on employment. So for example, more and more youth feel that they have to go into, for example, the gig economy. Now from the employment or employer's perspective, that could already put them on their back foot because when you work in the gig economy, it's not like in inverted commas, a steady job, respectable job. You don't have the right experience to work with us as a full-time employee because you don't have the right experience. Therefore, thank you. Good luck in your next application. So those are the hard questions we need to ask ourselves and the government. And they're not doing enough youth-oriented policies that will generate long-term and stable employment for them.
Thank you for your question. I will pass to Gandhi now. You can, yeah, answer everything. Um,
All right. Okay, so from comrade from that's okay. So from comrade from Australia, you asked from theory, how do you want to push people to activism? Um, I think even in theory emphasizes action, right? So if people really grasp their theory, then they will end up in an organization to organize themselves. But I understand that there are some people outside that they prefer more doing their activism in social media and from the theoretical, just share what they learn. But maybe they don't feel safe yet to come out, or they don't have the means to come out yet. But that is how I think we need to improve our organization level to reach them out and to pull them in. So I think that is the role as an organization must do, rather than expecting them to come and join us. I think we need to find them, to try to have a conversation with them or communicate with them, reach them out, and then see how we can work together and we can pull them in into their organization. Also, because of the current situation where the youths are overworked, maybe some of them don't want to spend more energy and labor in organizing the workers. So that is also something that we need to think and see how we can go about it. This is just from my experience. And climate crisis in Malaysia and organizing along the line, I think we have a very active organization called Kami, and they are organizing very well in this country, and they also do rallies and every year, and they do programs and empowerment workshops everywhere. But regarding the climate crisis in this, I think we need to do better job as left and as progressives. We need to make sure that the ground understand that climate crisis is an important issue. But the ground, how do I see from my experience, the ground is more on how they want to bring food next month. They are more concerned about that. If let's say there's one kampong from my hometown has suddenly they have flood, they will think on how to clean it and go back to work. Because if they don't enter the work one day, then they will have like one unpaid leave. Yeah, so that will reduce their food and that will impact their spendings for that month. So how do we want to um, share our narratives and tell them that climate crisis is an important issue to them? So that is also a challenge, and I think for the left to think on how do we want to bring that to them. So just sharing the ground reality. Um, from Ahmed, I think you shared about the pandemic on how the government intervene. But I think the intervention is not much. They introduced the moratorium, but I think PSM also come up with a national campaign and also said we need to do a lot more. But the intervention that the government did was more to compensate the corporates and the capitalists rather than putting the money directly to the workers' pockets at that time during the pandemic. So that's how I see it at that time. And from where, yes, the government should do more to intervene and push MNC to increase the wages. But the thing is, our analysis on our wages, a lot is on the line of productivity. No one wants to talk about the exploitation. So that is why everyone is talking about, hey, we have already like, how do we want to increase the productivity? And every analysis is on the line of the productivity. But how about the exploitation? How about increasing the unions, increasing the bargaining power of the workers in their workplaces? So yes, government is not doing enough, is our last analysis. And they can do that, but they choose not to because that will disrupt the profits of the corporates. And from comrades from Singapore, you said how to counter the conservatism. Yes, despite the crisis, it also yeah, we thought like the youth, it's automatically, I think we will think that the youth will lean to the left and criticize the capitalism. But it's because of a lack of our presence there in the space that they will turn to the right wing. So how to counter that? That's why I say we need to spend more. We need to push effective counter messaging. We need to make sure that because without spending, I don't think we can match the power and the messaging that the right wing is doing. I think that way we need to really think about how to change our strategy and reach to the ground. I think currently we are doing a very good job in TikTok, but I think that's not it. We need to do more on the social media strategies. And comrade from he asked, how do we manage to get the Undi 18? So we had this movement called Undi 18 in this country, and they actually advocated and together with other political parties, including PSM, went to the street to protest in front of parliament. We did advocacy programs. We also did lobbying other parliamentarians, especially Sheikh Sadiq. So that's how the Undi 18 was made possible. Mainly two youths organizing Undi 18, which is Kira and Dharma at that time. So yes, we're also expecting international youth movement to come out of Palestine issues. Um, it would be nice if we have one, but I think it's not in our hand because we are not in any influential international movement yet. But if any international youth movement are coming forward and then they say, let's organize along the line of this and let's do something, yes, I think we should do that from our end. Or maybe we can initiate one along the Southeast Asia socialist networks and left parties. Yeah. And Amirul, how do you want to analyze the influencers? I think that's pretty much your question. I think from my perspective, they boost the hustle cultures and influence that was closely related to our youth condition on how they are uh, getting low wages and can get influenced easily. But that is a very good analysis that I also need to think about. I don't have the much data yet on how to analyze the influences. Yes, we can think together. We can come up with a paper also. I hope we can come up with a paper. Yeah. All right. And from Comrade from Thailand, you're asking how is the Marxism outdated? Is the socialism outdated in analyzing the gig economy and AI? Was that the question?
Yeah, the partnership of Postmark would can do a better job.
Sorry.
School,
Frankfurt School.
maybe Postmark
The-
can do a better job than
Oh, post Marxism. Okay. I think there is also, I think from my perspective, there is an element of extraction of profit and how do you want to analyze the profit workers and the capital there. I think I understand is post-Marxism doing the better work. I think under the Marxism narrative, we can actually analyze the relationship and the lack of not lack of, it's a gray area between the workers and also the capital or the employers there. But I think our analysis should reach the grassroots first for them to analyze whether the post-Marxism or Marxism is working. I think we are not doing the work yet. In Malaysia, the left and the progressive movements are not analyzing well enough about the gig economy first. So I think we need to do that first to see whether it's effective or no, from my perspective. And what are the strengths in the youth, Comrade Kumar? I think the strengths of the youth is energy. In my opinion, we have a lot of energy. We can organize well. We have the space to sleep less, although it's not encouraged. Yeah. But we have a lot of energy. We won't get tired much, so we have a lot of space to do that. But the important influencing factor is, do we have enough money or not? Do the workers have time to organize themselves? So that is the question that I keep coming back to. Yes, youths have energy, but with that energy, do you think they would rather work a second job to increase their income in the semi-urban area and rural area in this country, or they will choose to organize themselves? If they organize themselves, that's great. We also want those energies to increase our movement, but we also have to accept the reality that the young people are doing 2 jobs, 3 jobs to uh, spend more and satisfy the basic needs in their life. And Comrade Philip Wong, he said oversupply of graduates. I feel like oversupply is not unemployment. I feel like the lack of jobs is unemployment. I think we can let people who they want to study, they can study, but do we have enough jobs or not? Like the analysis just now, from the data from the government, they say 65.5% of jobs are actually semi-skilled jobs. So how are we going to create jobs, skilled jobs, green jobs, reindustrialization? So we need to think that way. We have enough workers and labor in our hand. How do you want to use them, bring the labor together to rebuild the society that works for us, not for the capital? So that's something that we need to think. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gandipan. That was a lot of questions that you went through very fast. Well done on that. Now let's pass to Donnie. You can answer some of the questions.
Okay, maybe I have not really answer, but the some of comrade in their once have question and comment about this my presentation and Gandipa. Thank you for Gandipa to answer a lot question. This is helping me to answer the question. But yeah, I don't really good hear the comrade voice, but the first and the second one I really good here. The comrade from Australia maybe not really answer, but she wants to discussion the strategy about the social media, I think. For example, maybe in Indonesia, we have a lot of social account from the party, from the youth community, from the labor organization, especially in youth. But if you see the followers, we can see maybe not really 100 or 200, maybe under of this, because the follower account is the important to spread the idea and the propaganda. If you look at the some of people who have popular, they have more 1 million or 2 million followers because they have a popularity and they have maybe some actor because we have to compete for them to campaign and propaganda the ideas, because in Indonesia the sum of akun is not really popular and not really lot of followers. But if you look at the idea, the left or the some of movement akun in social media, we have a campaign from the reality of the problem, because we have meet every day the problem. The other hands, the popular account not really roots from the problem. I think the strategy is we have to make simple content, not really simple, not yet, but simple content, and we have some issue about the inequality, economic problems, some crisis, ecological problems, but the content is not really long time, but a short time. I think this is a good, this is a strategy what we need to promote because many people have social media account, but they don't like too long time uh, content because Indonesia TikTok is a very popular account, but if you look at the left party or social movement party account, not really there, but we have a compete one person popularity account. We have 1 million and 2 million followers because we don't have any more to this uh, problem. But I think the problem is not only the followers, but the problem is the content that we have promote related to these issues. In my Partai Rakyat Pekerja akun, we have maybe 1,000 follower in Twitter, in fanpage Facebook, but we have always campaign about the problem reality in Indonesia, but not really engagement in this account, but we try to make some progress the consciousness in many young people in Indonesia because in 2024 the Commission of Electoral said in Indonesia we have maybe 15 million voters. This is a strategic. This is a lot of many people in mass of social media because the youth, Gen Z, Generation Z, and millennial with 15 million people in Indonesia. Maybe in Southeast Asia, we can account million people that have youth in join this social media. I think this is the problem, and maybe this is the strategy to promote the social media movement in Indonesia or Southeast Asia and global. Next one, the answer from my comrade or kawan in Socialist Alliance in Indonesia. I agree because the background of history in Indonesia is 1965. We have killing measures. This background history making youth people in Indonesia afraid to join the political organization in union organization in left party anymore. Maybe not really in social democratic. We have struggled in Indonesia, but many problems after 1965, after the Reformation, 1998. And right now we have a lot of problem of youth people in Indonesia. We have a sandwich generation, I said that But sandwich generation is not only struggle from the family, but he was struggle from the outside in poor job, in bad education in the uh, in perguruan tinggi, in university. But they struggle from the issues of the political, in races, in religion. This is too many issues we have struggled in youth. Because I said this is the sandwich generation. Maybe not only social democratic we have struggled in Indonesia, but we will to strengthening the youth organization, but we don't really relation in, for example, Working People Party, Indonesian Socialist Alliance, and many left movement organization, because too many fragmentation in left organization in Indonesia. As we know, many left organization uh, not really like the election, because they not really like the politician, the elites. They not the
Sonny?
party.
Hi,
Yes.
sorry to cut you off. Just we're going to give you 2 minutes because we need to wrap up quite soon.
Okay.
So
Thank you
yeah,
very much.
okay, thank you.
Because
Sorry to
I'm
cut you off.
in my comrade Indonesia, for kawan in Socialist Alliance, I'm fully agree for this background, but we have a fragmentation left movement in Indonesia, and right now we have to promote the modern issue, especially greenwashing, especially in uh, poor job and anymore. Maybe, and right now we have to some not the I'm sorry, kita butuh satu organisasi yang lebih cair, fluidity organization, because the left organization not really, the people in Indonesia not really like left party because they have a background in 1965. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for all comrades to answer. Maybe I don't really answer the many comrade. Thank you.
Thank you to both of our panelists who are such shining beacons of youth activism. Can we have another round of applause for them? I mean, we've covered a lot in this session, AI, education, all of that, and it's a new world in a lot of ways, and we are all part of that change.